George Kilpatrick Inspiration for the Nation, celebrating people we feel good about. So we celebrated the 4th of July this week, Independence Day, and it's got me thinking a lot about the country and our freedoms and the freedoms we're still fighting for, all of that. But I'm going to talk about this presidential election for one, and a couple of other things. I'm going to talk about LeBron James and a couple of other things that have caught my attention over the last few weeks because I think it's really important. First of all, a lot of talk about President Biden. The Democrats are talking about we're wanting to replace Joe Biden. They said his debate performance wasn't good, and they've noticed some cognitive, what they might say, some cognitive impairment. All right, all of those things. Let me just say to you clearly as I can, those of you who are Democrats and who are all caught up in your feelings about your candidate. Do you hear Republicans talking about the 34 convicted felon who is found liable for sexual assault, who led an insurrection based on a lie he created about the election? Do you hear them talking about not supporting their candidate? They're lockstep, right? But Democrats, we're better than that. We're better than that. But you know what? For those of you who, especially my friends who are on the left or who are in some of the more progressive movements, you may not like Joe Biden, but let me ask you this. Do you like the fact that women have less reproductive freedoms in this country? Do you like the fact that diversity, equity, inclusion is on the chopping block in many states across this country, including Florida, Texas, among others? Are you okay with the fact that in a conference that I just attended in Florida, where my fraternity, or Mixed Alpha fraternity, organized a book drive for all the banned books that the Florida Department of Education says is no longer teachable in their school districts, right? Are you wanting to elect a Supreme Court that's going to continue to erode our freedoms, including saying that the president is immune from prosecution based on if those things are considered part of his official duties? What? Right? So this has now delayed the sentencing in his case in Manhattan, and it also is going to delay other cases that he's involved in across this country, in Georgia, for example. So basically, what you're saying, Democrats who believe that Joe should be replaced and somebody else should be there at this stage of the game, let me say this to you. Do you hear Republicans talking about replacing their incoherent 34-time convicted felon, 34 felon president who's also found liable sexual assault, and by the way, is backed by the Christian right? Do you really believe that man is going to do a damn thing for you? As a matter of fact, he's already shown you through his appointments to the Supreme Court and the mechanisms and the shenanigans of the Senate majority at the time, which is still in the Republican hands. Do you believe for 1 minute that they're not going to go lockstep and get exactly what they want? And they're telling you what they want to do in what they call this Project 2025 document. They're telling you what they're going to do. Is that what you want? Is that what you want for y'all for president? You want further freedoms erased? You want your kids to have to deal with an educational system that's already failing them and now going to be tortured further with curriculum that's basically saying that it was okay that the slaves were taken care of and all that? Come on now. I'm speaking to you directly, and I'm saying get a grip, okay? Let's play the game if we got to play the game. I'm telling you, Whether you like Joe Biden or not, the alternative is going to be way worse. And I might not be saying it as articulately as I can, but I'm telling y'all need to wake up. You need to wake up because it's serious now. It's serious now. They're telling you what they're going to do. They're going to take the rights. They want to erode civil rights in this country. LGBTQ, you're next. Diversity, equity, inclusion, under attack all over this country. You want to put that man or run the risk of having that man back in office? Come on now. What else I got? Listen. I know y'all are all caught up in this Kendrick Lamar Drake debate. I know y'all are all caught up in that. Yeah, there's a little hip hop culture feud, and you're choosing sides. They not like us. Well, you know who's not like us? Those right-wing conservatives who want to strip us of our rights. So if you want to sing a song, they not like us, they not like us, they not like us, they not like us. And so you need to think about that when you go into the voting. You need to, let me talk about what we need to do. If you're not registered to vote, get registered to vote. If you haven't voted, I don't care, get yourself registered to vote and then vote. Don't sit it out. I don't care if you don't like Joe Biden, but I'm not certainly going to live in a country where that other man, Trump, is going to be president. I don't care. Volunteer with your NAACP. Or not only, it's not about just register to vote. We got to get people to the polls. You can't sit this one out. If you're living away from home where your primary voting is, get that absentee ballot now. I know it's only July and it's early because I know stuff don't really get serious till after Labor Day. It's serious now. It's serious now. And you young brothers, black men in particular, don't trip, okay? Don't trip because your rights are about to be taken in this country.
I couldn't find anything belonging to Young called Black Men linked to your iCloud account.
Okay, Siri, stop tripping. I get it. All right, Siri, chill. This ain't about you right now. This is about our country and our community. That's what this is about right now. So I ain't got time for your stuff, Siri. Chill. But here's what I will tell you. We got to get our stuff together. Community, not get our stuff together. Our stuff is together. We cannot allow Donald Trump to be president again. I'm saying it. We can't allow it. We cannot allow it. We cannot allow it by any means necessary. We have to, it's serious business. And speaking of serious business, Vicki Brackens and I have been on the radio for a few years. And what Vicki's been talking about, I'm going to give her a shout out because she's been talking about Black wealth generation, Black wealth transfer, Black wealth and legacy. Simply means that, and I'm going to say it in my own way, Vicki, so bear with me. But what we're basically saying is we have to transfer wealth. We can't, zero no more is what we've been talking about, right? Zero no more means that we can't keep starting from scratch in the transfer of wealth in Black communities. The study, I believe it was by Black Enterprise, by about, I can't remember the exact study, but basically our communities continue to start from zero and we're not building legacy wealth in our families. And why am I bringing this up now? Because Vicki's over the years have been talking about various things that we should do to do that, right? And I'm looking at my own situation and saying, I've got an alarm because I want to make sure that I'm not caught up in that. And I'm looking at the numbers and I got some work to do even at this stage of my game. And this brings me to sports. Because if you follow sports, or even if you don't follow sports, you know who LeBron James is, right? one of the most famous basketball players in the world, plays for the Los Angeles Lakers. Married, 3 children, married his high school sweetheart. His agent, Rich Paul, he grew up with Rich Paul, and Rich Paul runs Clutch Sports, okay? And LeBron has done a number of things philanthropically in his community as far as his outside of sports, because I'm a hater in terms of, because he didn't come to the Knicks, so I'm a hater in sports. But in societal terms, the brother's done some good things in the community and is outspoken about the issues that that's going on in our community. So his son, Bronny James, played for his college team and USC, and he had a little heart thing that came up, sidelined him for a minute, but he came back on the floor, and so he played a year. And I had a mid-level year, nothing spectacular, and so he entered into the NBA draft, and he was drafted in the second round by, lo and behold, the team that his dad plays for, the Los Angeles Lakers. So a lot of people were yelling nepotism and all of this and all of that, and then LeBron. So, but Bronny signed a contract, and I'm gonna get to that in a moment. But before I get to that, so LeBron signed an extension with the Los Angeles Lakers for about $104 million. So Bronny James, who doesn't have, so people who were in Bronny James' position, they looked at the comparative salaries. So the highest player at the position that Bronny James was in, I think earned about $750,000, which is, pretty good money for somebody in that position in the NBA draft, drafted number 55, I believe. Well, Bronny James ended up with a contract that's going to pay him about $1.2 million, a 4-year contract that will escalate over the years to about it's between 4 and 7 million. But forget the numbers. It's going to escalate to be about 2.6 in his final year. So at 19 years old, here's what I want you to know about this. I'm getting somewhere, work with me. LeBron James, who plays for the Lakers, will now be on the same team as his son. But what has he done? He's transferred wealth, right? How? Because his son at 19 years old is now a millionaire. His son, Bronny, at 19 years old will be a millionaire because his first year at 19 years old, he will earn $1.2 million and doesn't really have the resume that some of the other players at his position has. So what's the point I'm trying to make? LeBron has done what Vicky's been talking about for all these weeks. At least my perception of what he's done. I don't have any evidence that he made sure that the Lakers drafted his kid because, LeBron's dream is to play on the same team as his son. There's a joke. Have you heard this joke? That LeBron is sleeping with the mother of one of his teammates. Have you heard that? And before you get crazy, his teammate is his son, who is his mom, who happens to be his wife. Okay. So, but it's funny because when you hear it out of context, it makes a joke. But LeBron, say what you want to say, he did what he had to do. He made sure that wealth transfer happened just like that. His son, whose career is mid at best, who may be even in the G League, let me look this up again, $1.2 million for his first year, and you got to give it up to Clutch Sports and LeBron James for making that happen. I said between 4 and 7. It's a 4-year deal worth $7.9 million, 1.2 in the first year, escalating, and in this final year, he'll make $2.48 million. He's the number 55 pick in the draft. If you look at that, the number 55 pick in the 2023 NBA draft last year signed a 2-way contract for $559,000. Okay, and it's only partially guaranteed. And the number 55 pick for another team didn't play a minute in the NBA last season. So Bronny James, second round pick, is going to get a contract of $7.9 million. So you might say to me, well, George, that's LeBron James. What's that got to do with me? Well, here's what it has to do with you. What are you making sure you're doing to transfer wealth in your family, whether it's while you're living or when you leave this planet? How are you ensuring that wealth doesn't stop with that wealth creation doesn't stop with you? Zero, no more. LeBron James did it with his firstborn, $1.2 million. Instant millionaire. Now you could say LeBron has enough money to give that to Bronny himself. Yeah, he does. But Bronny got that bag. Bronny got the bag. And I ain't mad. I don't want to hear about nepotism and all of this and all of that. Look at what this other president did. Trump, when he was in the White House, he didn't care. He made his brother-in-law the negotiator for Israel. Not his brother-in-law, his son-in-law the negotiator for Israel. His daughter was running something. The son was running. Everybody was doing something in that administration. And so, don't tell me about LeBron. And I'm going to flip back to now, since I mentioned this president, the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court. The next president could possibly have an appointment or two to the current Supreme Court. The same Supreme Court that told you women that abortion is not guaranteed under the Constitution federally, and that only your state can determine whether you should have access to that or not. But it's not federally protected anymore. That's the Donald Trump Supreme Court that did that. The same Donald Trump Supreme Court that gave him immunity from certain charges. Yeah, the same Donald Trump Supreme Court that gutted parts of the Voting Rights Act, right? The Voting Rights Act that was set up to make sure that southern states that were doing all kinds of tricks to make sure that African Americans in particular had a difficult time to vote, like removing polling places and making it illegal to give water if you're standing in line. Yeah, that Supreme Court. Those are the picks that made it more difficult under the Voting Rights Act to have it enforced, especially by those states that were giving African Americans a tough time. That's what you're voting against, okay, or voting for. You don't want that man to have more picks on the Supreme Court. We got 3 sane justices right now. You don't want them to have any more. You want the next president to be not Donald Trump, but to be Joe Biden, and to have the picks that he needs to make sure that we get what we want. Now, that's a presidential election. And while that may be all well and fine, let's turn our attention to Congress. Because we have a congressman right now who's in lockstep with this president, who has talked about and supported election, what do they call it? Interference, like said it was rigged. He was part of that. He believes that, or at least supports that belief of this man. He got to go too. Don't sit on your behinds, people. He got to go too. Y'all don't like me being political. I cannot be. I would. What I realized, ladies and gentlemen, is that my voice matters, and I don't care if it's one person out there that hears me and does the right thing. My voice matters, and I'm going to use it. Since I have a platform, I'm going to use this platform, and I'm not going to shut up for anybody, and I'm not going to be quiet for anybody, because we are in too much of a crisis electorally and politically for me to be quiet. If I could not rest if I didn't use my voice and my platform to encourage you to get the vote out. So we got to get this congressperson out of here, okay? All right? Let's talk about county elections and Senate elections and assembly elections and your local school board, okay? School district that I'm in, we had this whole conversation about James of DeWitt, about whether we're going to have SROs in the school resource officers. Big conversation, community forum. Well, we're going to get them back in the town of DeWitt. Craftily put back in the budget by the superintendent. It's going to happen. We got to be reorganized. We have to reorganize, because one of the when we didn't have power. Oh, that's another thing I want to talk about. Because when we didn't have power, we were more organized. We were sitting at the school board meetings and at the common council meetings, and we were raising hell about the conditions that we wanted for our about conditions that were not tolerable in our community. We was in those meetings raising hell because we wanted to have an impact in our community. We were doing that. And then we got elected. And then we got power. And now a funny thing happened since we got elected and we got power. For some reason, we think that somebody else is supposed to fix the thing that we've been elected to fix. Or am I wrong about that? Y'all tell me if I'm wrong about that. But for some reason, it appears that the people we elected think somebody else is supposed to fix the thing that we elected them to fix. Hello? If I'm wrong, y'all tell me I'm wrong and let me see something different. But I'm hearing something from them, or not hearing anything at all. When they ran for office, they said they were going to do this and this and this and this. Board of Education, Board of the Syracuse City, Common Council. We, for years, as long as I can remember in this community, we wanted access and we wanted power. Now we have it. And what do we do with the power that we have? We got the power, people. We got it. We're running the city of Syracuse. What are we going to do with the power that we have? We got a few more voices in the ledge, not enough, but a few more voices. Stand up for what you believe in. Stand up for what you believe in. But I want you to know we have the power. We have the power. I don't want to hear y'all talking about what and who and however, and they didn't. No, you're they. You're them. You're the ones. You're in power. I don't want to hear it. What difference are you going to make? We got more people elected than we ever have. And what do we have to show for it? We need more. We need more. We got to be smarter. We got to be wiser. We got to show up to the places that we're expected to show up to. Okay? We got to do that. And be mad at me if you want. I I know that there's too much at stake for us to be playing games. We have a city that we love. We have a community that we love. And we want the best for our community, for our kids. But we are in power. We have the power. We are the ones we've been waiting for. So let's show a little bit more from what we got. Y'all. Look, I know y'all are doing everything y'all can. You're out there in these streets. You're in community. I know. We just have to show a little bit more. What's the legislation that y'all are putting forward that's going to make it easier for young people to have access to all the resources in our community? I don't want to hear that. Not that I don't want to hear. We're a resource-rich community. How do we get people who need those resources to take advantage of them? Okay, now I will admit, maybe I'm wrong about all of this. And maybe what I'm saying, you can say, oh, George, you don't know what the hell you're talking about. Okay, show me. Show me I don't know what I'm talking about. And I'm good. I'm good with that. I'm good with it. Perception can be reality. We have the power. Perceived, yes. What are we showing up for right now? What are the deals we're making to make sure that our community has access to all of the resources that are coming through? Vicky Bracken sent me something the other day. Let me find it really quickly while I'm talking to you about what is happening in our community, right? Center State CEO made an announcement. You see, I'm trying to find it because I had it right here. I had it bookmarked, and then all of a sudden, when I went to look for it, it wasn't there. So I'm just going to try to find this. But there was a new, okay, here we go. This is called the New York Smart I-Corridor, named official by the U.S. Economic Development Administration. We've been named as a tech hub. The high-tech corridor, which includes Rochester, Buffalo, Syracuse, will receive $40 million to support the creation of the New York Semiconductor Superhighway. Special thanks going out. This is the Center State CEO announcement. Special thanks going out to Senate Majority Leader Schumer and Congressman Joe Morrell for their support, which has been instrumental in securing the New York's Smart I-Corridor's designation as a national tech hub, and leading companies like Edwards Vacuum, Corning Incorporated, AMD, D3, Optimax Systems, and Rochester Precision Optics are drawn to the greater Rochester, New York region due to its talented workforce and university-led R&D assets. And that's that piece of it. And it's a lot of it for the Rochester. But we also have had an investment here in the Syracuse area for the Buffalo, Rochester, Syracuse Ithaca Corridor. $40 million puts the region in an unequivocal position to accelerate our strategies for growth and further solidifies the upstate New York corridor as a global leader in semiconductor innovation, manufacturing, workforce training, and business attraction. They go on to say this is a firm signal to the world that the region is primed to lead the resurgence of advanced manufacturing and semiconductor production in the U.S., which will help address the vulnerabilities in this national priority by building on our historic strengths in manufacturing and unique expertise and microelectronics, sensing, and optics. So we're the NY Smart iHeartRadio, and lots more to come from that. But that announcement made news this past week, and there's a lot more people involved. I just found out about this past week. Did you know about that? $40 million that the Micron stuff and other work coming into the community. I was saying to a friend of mine, colleague of mine, I got to get into some different rooms. I need to be in some different rooms. It's very clear because things are coming, things are happening. And if you ain't in that room, you ain't going to know a darn thing about it. Or should I say a damn thing? Come on now. Step up your game, elevate your game. Let's move, let's groove. Let's do the right thing. Shout out to Spike Lee, 35 years of do the right thing. Celebrated this past week in Brooklyn, New York. Groundbreaking movie. At the time, really was very, very instrumental in identifying some of the tensions that happen within communities. So shout out to Spike Lee. And shout out to the men of Omega Psi Phi Fraternity Incorporated, holding their international conference in Tampa, Florida. I'm a member of the great Omega Psi Phi Fraternity, and a smashing success, really making an impact on the Tampa Bay community, donating banned books, having public forums on youth education, really spotlighting that black men can lead. I was so proud of the brotherhood to see thousands of black men from all walks of life, from all over the world, coming together in unity to lead in manhood, scholarship, perseverance, and uplift. So shout out to our international president, Ricky Lewis, and the entire team for having an impact and having a goal defined and met, even in visiting Florida, which was controversial, admittedly. But I'm glad that the brothers showed up, and they had a good time as well. But I'm glad they showed up in a serious way. And I know for me and my crew, we made a very, very specific pledge to spend money black, and we did that too. George Kilpatrick, Inspiration for the Nation.